Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to getting smart, fast. Today, we're doing a really high-speed tour through human ingenuity. Forget the slow, dusty timelines. We're tracing humanity's tech blow-up, basically from rocks to rockets.
It's quite a ride, actually. The sources we've looked at, they break down technological progress into about 7 distinct leaps, big foundational changes. And our mission here isn't just what we invented, but, how these tools changed us, our relationship with risk, complexity, dependence, really. You track these eras, and the very idea of what a tool is just transforms again and again.
Yeah, it does. And we're starting right at the beginning, way back, when tech was just, an extension of muscle, right? Raw power. We're calling it the primal work shock. The first tools were, let's be honest, pretty aggressive things.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking the original toolbox here. And these early tools, they weren't just rocks someone picked up. There was a cognitive step involved. Understanding that if you hit this rock, like flint, in this way, you get a sharp edge. That's the OG knife right there. And clubs. Well, that was your ultimate multi-tool. Good for hunting, defense, maybe settling arguments too. Who knows?
Probably. And what strikes me is the brute force needed. The motto must have been something like, just hit it till it works. It's all about sheer physical effort. But okay, that leads us to the first real game changer, the first big conceptual power-up.
Fire. Definitely fire. That's a huge moment of control. It gave us warmth, sure, but also cooking. Cooking food fundamentally changed our diet, our energy intake, and likely fueled, our brain development. It's massive. But beyond just surviving, fire was the first reliable power source humans actually controlled, something outside ourselves. It offered protection, a way to shape the environment. It shifted us from just reacting to things to actively influencing our world.
Okay, so we've got basic material manipulation, chipping rocks, and we've got this external power source, fire. So what's the next big shift? It seems like things needed to start, moving more systematically.
Exactly. Moving from just surviving day to day to building things, moving things. Mobility and leverage, that's the next era. This is where simple mechanics come in. People always jump to the wheel, and the wheel was huge for rolling things around. But maybe even more foundational were things like the lever, the ramp, the pulley. These let us start scaling things up, building bigger.
Let's pause on the pulley for a second. Seems so simple, right? Just a wheel and a rope. But how did that change things on a big scale, like for building stuff?
It's all about mechanical advantage. Suddenly, you didn't need 50 people straining to lift one giant stone block. With levers and pulleys, fewer people could lift heavier things. That meant taller buildings, stronger walls. Think pyramids, aqueducts. It also allowed for more complex irrigation systems, even early war machines. You couldn't really have big, settled civilizations without mastering that basic physics.
Right, that makes sense. And that ability to build bigger, more permanent structures, that leads us into the next phase, doesn't it? Or some call the boss age, working with metal. Tools get sharper, sure, but also more standardized, more reliable. Metal madness, maybe?
Metal madness, I like that. Yeah, moving from stone and wood to bronze, then iron. It's about resilience, precision. We weren't just chipping away at founding materials anymore. We were shaping materials using heat, intention, smelting, casting. And think about the logistics needed for that. Mining ore, transporting it, fuel for the forges, skilled smiths. It's a whole system. This is also when we see crucial little inventions appearing, things we totally take for granted. Screws and nails, standardized parts.
So early humans were basically the first DIY influencers, figuring out how to put stuff together. Check out my new bronze axe build. The cost must have jumped, right? Finding flint is one thing, mining and smelting metal is another level entirely.
Oh, massively. The cost of entry was way higher. But the payoff was durability. A stone axe shatters. A metal one might bend, but you can often fix it. And think about warfare. Metal armor, metal swords. That changes everything. Survival depends on your tech. It also forced specialization. You needed miners, smiths, traders. It really kicked off large-scale resource logistics, trade routes for tin and copper.
Okay, so we got better materials, better mechanics. But things were still limited by muscle power, human or animal, for a long, long time. Millennia, really. To break that ceiling, we needed something revolutionary. Which brings us to that sudden, almost violent acceleration, the industrial power-up.
Yeah, that's the era of speed and sheer scale.
Seam, steel, coal. Lots and lots of coal. This is the first time machines really started replacing muscle power across the board. Society just fundamentally restructured itself around factories. Yeah. Cities exploded, became these dense centers where suddenly everyone's job depended on everyone else's. Totally interdependent.
And it wasn't just the steam engine itself, was it? It was what it enabled, like mass production, interchangeable parts. Exactly right. That idea of making identical components, it was revolutionary. Before, if your wagon wheel broke, a skilled craftsman had to make a new one, maybe take days. Now, if a part in a steam engine failed, you could, in theory, just slot in a new, identical one, much faster, cheaper. That concept, that's the ancestor of every modern supply chain. We went from custom-made everything to mass standardization almost overnight, relatively speaking.
But looking at the sort of cultural side, this must have been when complex systems started failing in big, messy ways for the first time. The speed of invention must have outpaced reliability sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. You build these huge, interconnected factory lines powered by these temperamental steam engines. Things are going to break down. And when one part failed, it could stop the whole line. Systemic failure became a thing. This forced people to start thinking about troubleshooting in a new way. And, connecting it to today, this is probably when someone first yelled, "We need more power," at a machine. Or, maybe more relatable, realized the easiest fix for some complicated jam was just stopping the whole thing and starting it again. It's the birth of, did you turn it off and on again?
The universal tech support answer has its roots in steam power. Okay, that sets us up perfectly for the next giant leap, one that's maybe still watching over us. The digital tsunami. We went from huge, noisy, fuel-hungry machines to invisible electrons zipping around.
The change in scale is just mind-boggling. We went from tech that filled entire rooms, those first computers were bigger than most apartments today, to microprocessors with components measured in nanometers. All that processing power shrunk down onto a tiny piece of silicon.
And the key thing early on, wasn't it connectivity? We went from these isolated mainframes fed punch cards to everything being networked. I mean, we remember the awful screech of dial-up modems loading up Windows 95. But the real shift was access. Information processing got democratized.
And that access, that democratization, drove the miniaturization, just like Moore's Law predicted. It kept getting smaller, faster, cheaper. The digital age also gave us, a common language for fixing tech problems. Think about Ctrl plus Alt plus Del. That specific key combo became this universal panic button, right? A way to regain control when the digital complexity just got too much. A shared ritual.
A digital spiritual reboot, okay? And that tiny processor kept shrinking until it leaped off the desk and right into our pockets. Which brings us to now, basically, the touch, swipe, and automate era. The tool isn't just something we use, it's like a part of us, a virtual limb.
The smartphone is the ultimate consolidation device, isn't it? It swallowed the map, the compass, the camera, the music player, the calendar, the bank. The defining thing now is just how deeply integrated this tech is into everything we do. Every single day, you tap a screen, and somewhere complex logistics systems kick into gear to bring a pizza to your door. It's seamless, usually. The tech got smaller, faster, way more powerful, and maybe a little bit sassy sometimes.
Yeah, definitely sassy. But this deep integration, it comes at a cost, doesn't it? If the tool is basically attached to us, when it fails, it feels personal, immediate, like a crisis.
It really does, and that raises big questions about control versus dependence. We have incredible power at our fingertips, but are we less independent because of it? The reliance is so total that low battery anxiety is a real recognized thing people feel. We depend on that little pocket supercomputer for almost everything. Finding our way, talking to people, managing money, even socializing. Have we moved from being masters of our tools to, maybe being a bit enslaved by them, always meeting them, always connected?
That's a heavy thought. So if this intense dependence is where we are now, where's the next jump? We have to look ahead, into the speculative future, where the tools might shed their physical form altogether, maybe end up inside our heads.
Well, that seems to be the direction things are pointing, moving beyond screens towards biointegration, cognitive interfaces. The next wave looks like it'll be defined by AI assistants that are almost invisible, truly seamless. Voice commands that understand intent, not just words. Nanotechnology working inside our bodies, maybe. Repairing things, optimizing things, biohacking to enhance our own abilities. The tool becomes invisible, maybe even biological.
So it goes beyond just using a tool to almost invoking it. Like, the ultimate example people talk about is the Neuralink system. The tool isn't something you pick up, it's just there, part of your thought process.
That seems like the logical endpoint of this whole miniaturization and integration trend, doesn't it? Imagine having, mental toolbars. Instead of clicking an icon, you just think it. Need to do complex math. Access the processing power directly with your mind. Need a screwdriver. Maybe you just blink twice and the specs are overlaid on your vision. The line between human and machine just dissolves.
Wow, okay. We just blitzed through millions of years of tech evolution there, from chipping rocks to potentially managing systems with a thought. That's a staggering distance.
It really is. And I think the main takeaway here is the sheer speed and the volatility of these changes, especially recently. Tech evolution isn't some smooth, gradual climb. It's more like a series of really sharp, disruptive leaps, accelerations. And what's crucial for you listening to this is realizing that the lifespan of these foundational technologies is shrinking dramatically. Metal tools were cutting edge for millennia. Digital tools, they feel almost obsolete after a decade, sometimes less. But our dependence, that just keeps growing.
Yeah, the journey seems to be about gaining more control over the world outside us, but maybe losing some self-sufficiency in the process. It really makes you think about your own technological fitness.
Exactly. Which brings us to our final question for you. Something to mull over, thinking about everything we've touched on. The stone zone, metal madness, the industrial power-up, the digital boom we're in now. Consider your own skills, your reliance on instant info, your ability to figure things out without a manual.
Which era of tools do you think you could genuinely survive in? Could you handle being a blacksmith back in the Bronze Age? Or are you completely reliant on that tiny, sometimes sassy supercomputer in your pocket that makes sure the pizza arrives? Just reflect on that. Your current toolkit relies on systems you probably can't fix yourself, maybe can't even fully understand. Where do you fit in this long history?
Want more then versus now glow-ups? Smash that like, subscribe, and bell icon for your next trip through time.